Hello everyone and welcome to Animation Triad. I am Lish and with this channel as always is
Stu
and
Teddy.
And today we will be reviewing Metalocalypse for you. That's right, the awesome show from the mid-2000s. We're going to be talking about the art and the music. Was it quality or was it crap? We're going to be talking about the character development. Were they 2D? Were they 3D? Who was the best? Who was the worst? And who was just kind of eh? And finally, we are going to be talking about that crazy rock opera ending. Oh my god! As well as some fun facts and why the show will not be returning anytime soon. So, if this is something you are interested in, and why else would you be here, then just keep on watching. Strap in, initiates, and get ready for the Triad. Didn't know or don't know what Metalocalypse is, it is a show on Adult Swim that follows an American,
Swedish-American death metal band.
Hybrid death metal band that essentially is believed to bring about the apocalypse, hence the title, Metalocalypse. So our question for you today is going to be, did they actually bring about the apocalypse? Or did they save the world? Let us know what you think in the comments below. But right now, let's actually get into the animation. I mean, was it quality or was it meh for you guys?
For me, it was high quality. I gotta say this. For the most part, I don't find Adult Swim animation to be all that great. I mean, occasionally you will get a Venture Brothers or a Rick and Morty, but for every one of those, you get a 12-ounce mouse, a Mr. Pickles, or Drinky Bird Show, or Squidbillies. And
oh, that just sounds nasty.
On many levels, yes. So this one, the animation is not what I would call pretty, but
the clock disagrees with you.
Yes. The death clock.
Death clock.
Death clock. Okay. Wait, does that count as a pun?
Well, we'll give it a pass. It was still related.
It was related, yeah.
That was all of us.
It was a close one, yes.
Yeah.
So,
we went down that rabbit hole.
Yeah. Indeed we did. So, the animation for this is intentionally not very pretty.
Right.
But it's high quality.
Still sophisticated.
It is very sophisticated, the animation, because, as we said, it's based around guitars, a band, and everything like that, and all the music for the guitar playing, all the hand movements for the guitar playing by Squizguard or Toki, those are all done in how they would actually be done. So they actually are synced up with the music properly. And that is extremely impressive.
Sophisticated movements. Like most people can't even do that right in a live action film, let alone in a cartoon. So I agree with you, that was very impressive, and that was something I noted in the particular episode of how Toki comes to join the band.
Yeah.
There is one more thing to build off that.
Of course.
And that is that hands are one of the hardest things to animate.
Yes, as well as just plain draw.
We've mentioned this before in our review of Summer Wars. Check it out if you haven't seen it. Great review. Personally, I think so. Great movie. Love it.
We're always going to say we love our shit.
Oh, you know. But in that review, we mentioned that there was a weird, awkward scene with hands. And yeah, even high-budget movies have trouble animating hands properly. And to see this done on a TV show's budget, I'm not exactly sure what the budget for this was, but it was very well done in that regard.
Impressive. So, what were your thoughts? Did you enjoy the animation?
I liked it. I feel like I've seen those people in real life, so I thought it was really good in that end. I don't really have anything much. I love the voice acting.
We can definitely talk about that.
Oh yeah, that was my favorite.
Especially when it comes to character development, which we will be discussing here in just a few minutes.
Yes.
Stay tuned.
Oh yeah.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that was my favorite, and the music was actually pretty legit.
It really was.
It's certainly like you could do like power cleaning around the house to that album there.
Absolutely.
Truth be told, I own one of these soundtracks.
Oh yeah.
They actually did go on tour.
Oh, did
with
they?
Mastodon.
Oh, that's sweet.
Their songs are, well, we'll get more into that with trivia. But
yeah,
yes.
you can actually buy the songs.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for me, I agree with what you both have said, but of course I have my own things that I'd like to add. So the best part about the animation for me was, I'm going to kind of build off of what Ted said. They were very real to me. Not only could I relate to having seen these people in real life, even though they don't actually exist and they are fictional, but the animation was done so well that it actually developed their characters in a way that you don't always get to see in a lot of animated films, shows, anything. They were so well drawn, I agree with you, not pretty for the most part. I mean, a couple of them, maybe a little bit, but for the most part, they were not pretty. But they were sophisticated. In fact, I was kind of talking about these guys off camera, that they were drawn so well, I could almost smell what they would smell like. And let me say, some of them did not pass the hygiene check. I'm looking at you, Dr. Roxo. Whew. Yuck.
Yeah.
So, to also mention what you were talking about with the music in conjunction with the animation was brilliant at storytelling.
Oh, yeah. Very much so.
You put the two together, and the expressions were not stale. It was a surprisingly affecting show.
Very much so.
Oh, yeah.
And it grabbed your attention. I mean, in a lot of animation, especially on Adult Swim, it's they stay in one place. You see this even on shows like Archer. There's a lot of just from the waist up, not a lot of movement and stuff. Love Archer, but that does happen occasionally with the budget. It's budget restraints, basically. But for this one, during their shows, it was just a feast for the eyes with everything going on, constant movement and head banging and everything. The light show stuff and everything like that was just fantastic to watch.
I agree, as well as the complexity of some of their bigger scenes, as well as Face Bones.
Yeah.
Face Bones was surprisingly very well drawn. But I think it's safe to say that we all strongly approve of the technical aspects of the animation, as well as the moods that they could set with the music. Watching Toki in the very first episode have his little rainbows and sunshine moment underwater, while everybody else is being hardcore. Like he's over here like making friends and loving, like
I'm here to be your friends forever.
Right, exactly. Which I think actually is a nice segue into character development. I was surprised by what they did with the characters. I felt like they were a little bit caricature in the beginning. Season 1 was fun, a lot of fun to get through. It was shock humor for sure.
Big time.
So at first, I think these guys weren't expecting me to like it, given how I usually respond to a lot of different things. And the truth is, a lot of it was like, oh my god, but somehow was done in like the right way. There's really no other way to say it. The shock humor was just that. You could tell it was shocking, but there wasn't actually a lot of connotation to that, except poking fun at what rock bands and the fans try to sell you in terms of the image. So I thought that was really, really interesting. You look like you had something to say.
Yes, I do. Well, yeah, actually, I think that we should introduce each character.
I agree.
Well, from there, yeah.
Yeah, I agree, because then we can talk about their individual little story arcs, because like I said, I was very impressed that it started off as just slapstick shock humor, and eventually became this affecting thing. And at first I didn't know if they were doing it ironically, or if they were adding actual layers, and then it became apparent that it was actual layers.
It was kind of like Looney Tunes, but dark Looney Tunes.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah, that's what I think. It was like Looney Tunes, but with actual death. Except not, because nobody really died.
Except for the fans.
They're cool.
It was gruesome Looney Tunes. Yes. But I agree with you. There were 6 main characters initially, and then later they added a 7th.
Yes, there was.
So there was
Skwiskar Squiggle, taller than a tree. Toki Wartooth, not a bumblebee. William Murderface, Murderface, Murderface. Pickles, the drummer. Doodly-doo, ding-dong, doodly-doodly-doo. Nathan Explosion.
And they were Death Clock, Death Clock, Death Clock.
Yeah.
And that was the band that we actually follow in this show is Death Clock. So despite it being called Metalocalypse, the band is Death Clock.
Yes.
So yeah, let's talk about him, and let's actually start with Skwiskar, because if I'm being honest, he was probably my least favorite, and also, well, I mean, only in terms of his development. I didn't feel like there was a lot there.
Yeah.
I would actually beg to differ a little bit.
All right, let's talk about that.
Certainly, by all means. Well, in my regard, in my opinion, I think he did have a bit of a story arc. You see him as a, basically, would you say womanizer? No, just call him a womanizer, just kind of a man whore.
Let's not even call him a whore, because again, I'm not big on the
No, you're right, that was
shaming.
wrong. So let me rephrase that from this stop, alright? So, Skwiskar.
He was a ladies' man.
Yes, he was the ladies' man of the group. And you see him just constantly being with women of all ages. He had no preference or anything, really.
He seemed to like him a little older, I think.
Yes, big time.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's something to do with his mother, which maybe that's a Freudian topic for
We
another
can
time.
do that on some breakdown analysis video. If you're interested, let us know.
Let us know. Do you want further breakdowns for characters and their psyches?
Right.
We're not professionals, but we will try.
Right.
But you saw on like the 3rd or 4th season, I can't remember which exactly, that he was having a personal crisis, because he never had his father. He never knew his father.
Right.
And his mother never even knew who the father was. And he gets a call from his mother saying, "I've got your dad." And it turns out to be his stepdad. But he actually he gives up being the band so he can go and have a childhood of sorts and try and reconnect with his family. And it doesn't work out, surprise, surprise, but he did connect with the guy who was his stepdad very well and almost went on to be a normal person.
Yeah.
It was hinted at that he actually developed a steady relationship with somebody.
Yeah.
You saw growth in that. And then at the end, well, his mother ruins everything, basically, and he runs off into the wild, but that's when he has an epiphany about his music. And I saw that as also a very good musical number. But you see him, I think that was some interesting development for him.
I agree with you. I guess that was some interesting development, but I disagree with you that his mother ruined everything. He needs to get over his mother's sex life because it's none of his goddamn business.
Except when, you're kind of ruining your own marriage and everything.
Again, her business.
Fair enough, I suppose, but I mean, that's a topic for another time.
I personally think he was a little judgy about it. I mean, if he was mad that she was cheating, I get it. But he was just mad that she was having the sex at all. That's the impression I got.
I think it was the disregard for, because she would just do it anywhere. And I mean, I think that's just kind of rude when you just walk in and front room right there, or live television.
Especially with rock, so Jesus.
We don't want to think about that.
Oh, I really don't. I got a taste in my mouth now.
I'm sure she did too.
Yeah, neither one was pleasant.
Lots of confetti.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that there is one way of looking at it, like you said, but I think that to some degree, I think his hang up with that also produced his guitar ability to some degree.
I think it produced not only his guitar ability, but also his desire to sleep around.
Yeah. And his inability
and not really seek out intimacy.
Yeah, that's what I'm about to go into.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that is some development right there, and his relationship with Toki, big time.
Yeah, and let's talk about Toki.
By all means.
Because Toki, in my opinion, he's not without flaws, but for the most part, he is the cinnamon roll of the show. He's the sweetie pie. He's the most touchy-feely, emotional out of all of them, and he's also kind of the most childlike. So I loved watching his development, but I also felt kind of bad about it because he had a horrible childhood.
He did.
He
Yeah.
was abused so badly, and yet somehow still turned out to be an absolute sweetheart.
Mm-hmm.
But his relationship with Squizgar is an interesting one because the way that Toki comes into the band,
Mm-hmm.
there's basically a guitar showdown. And Squizgar realizes that Toki challenges him in a way that nobody ever has. So at first there's this mutual respect. But then this mutual respect sort of turns into this weird rivalry disrespect
I saw it.
that they eventually had to let bygones be bygones, had to bring to a resolution.
I saw it more as a kind of brother, right? I saw it as two brothers fighting, especially when they're stop copying me. That is very
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a brother thing,
Yeah.
big time.
And
I see them basically being almost like brothers of sorts.
Right.
They're also the only two Scandinavians in the group.
Yeah.
So that was a fact.
A quick
or
one.
Norwegian or whichever it was.
We established their relationship in a flashback,
Mhm.
and we don't know how many years passed
Right.
Yeah.
till now.
Right.
So, you know, it's like starting any relationship, you know, it's just like, it's hunky-dory, and
Mhm.
everyone's like, yay, we love...
And then
And then,
flaws happen.
and then, you know,
Mhm.
and then, like,
Yeah.
a few years down the line, broken plates and yelling and all that fun stuff.
But we should stop
yeah.
talking about what we do off camera.
Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Well, that's out of love.
Right,
That's
sure.
just our thing.
I only throw plates at Ted because I care.
Yes.
I see nothing for legal reasons.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yes.
Let's talk about Murderface. I did not like Murderface for
Neither
the
did
most
I.
part, and yet I feel so extraordinarily bad for him because his childhood was basically Dexter's childhood. If any of you have watched
Yep.
the show Dexter,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
I was about to say.
Not the lab, the
Okay.
killer.
not
That makes
Dexter's Lab.
That makes way more sense.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So the show Dexter on Showtime,
Mm-hmm.
his childhood reminded me of that because he basically watched his parents die a horrible, bloody death
Yeah.
and had to live with his abusive grandma.
Yeah, that was her introduction.
Yeah.
I think it's great that it was the same voice for both characters,
Yeah.
so you understand where he actually
Right.
gets his speech pattern from.
Yes.
As well as his looks.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I thought that was interesting, and I liked the depth that I saw from him, particularly in the rock opera.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can show this scene, but when he's like, you know, you guys would just leave me for dead, or something like that. And then Nathan was like, dude, I would guitar bleep out die for you, man.
That right there.
That got me.
Yeah.
That got me
Right.
so much.
I actually kind of liked Murderface.
Really?
But just
Tell
'cause-
us why.
Just because it was just like, he did add a lot of the funny, and there is
It was funny watching him fail and watching bad
yes,
things
it
happen
was,
to him. Yeah.
and it was just, you know, and the majority of it being his own fault.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I felt that was a bit enduring, you know, like he wanted to try things and
Mhm.
they were an abysmal failure, but you know what,
But he tried.
he kept going, you know,
tried.
so it's skosh inspiring, not much, but
He
a little
was
bit.
he was inspiring,
Yeah.
especially that he had
Right.
his hands in so many pies, and no, I'm not making any innuendo here because
Yeah.
he would have loved to have gotten his hand in some of the pies that you
Yes.
guys might be thinking about, and yet was unable to. No, I mean,
Yes.
Mhm.
I like that he had so many different creative projects going on
Yes.
that he was trying to master and market.
I mean, I do.
So that was inspiring.
Yeah, there was an episode that I thought was very amusing
Mhm.
when he made a bet with Squizgar that we all knew he wasn't going to win,
Yeah.
where it was trying to bed the ladies,
Yeah.
and he tried to chat up one of the females that worked for them, interns,
Oh.
and so there was the sexual harassment seminar that was for everybody.
We're just going to show you some of this.
Yes.
Here's a list of things to remember to avoid being caught in a tricky sexual harassment lawsuit. Here we go! Err on the side of caution. Do not tell people they look good. People do just conservative. Do not make fun of people. The urge to be friends can be taken as flirt. If you do happen to accidentally flirt, do not make up for it by being overly friendly. This can be taken as an aggressive attack.
So the thing about that, I don't like the way they handled that, I'll be honest with you. I feel like they were kind of trivializing sexual harassment, but I'm hoping that they were aiming for something higher, like to show that Murderface was actually being a douchebag, and that people haven't taken it seriously enough up to this point. I'm hoping that's what they were going for, but that wasn't the impression I got. So for me, that was a bit of an issue. But Murderface, yeah, for the most part, I did not really like him. It was funny watching him try and fail. It was funny watching him try to suck his own you-know-what.
Yeah.
That failure in particular was hilarious. But like I said, in the rock opera is when I truly felt for him. Like, he felt so truly unloved by everybody. And when Nathan, who we're going to talk about in a little bit, reached out to him, that was a game changer. That was a game changer for the entire movie, in my opinion. Because I feel like Murderface, he's not perfect, he's always going to be him, but I felt like he was trying harder after that point. And I liked seeing that development.
I do too, which we'll bring up later about more thoughts on that, about the rock opera.
Right.
But in my opinion, I also, Murderface was my least favorite, though he did, as you said, provide some great moments. One of my all-time favorites being, of course, his scene with Dr. Roxo.
Oh God,
Behold
Dr.
the
Roxo.
gloriousness of this scene.
I do cocaine.
I woke up with a clown's hand in my pants. That's what I did today.
I love that line. I really do. The delivery, everything about it is perfect.
Yeah.
Just love it. And I think that's all how we would react in that situation.
Yeah.
Right, and we keep talking about Dr. Roxo, so just a heads up for you. Those of you that don't know, Dr. Roxo is more of a side character rather than a main character, but the difference is he's recurring. So he's sort of like a pseudo main character just because you see him often enough to kind of follow his story while you're following everyone else's. And he is a rock and roll clown who...
Do cocaine!
Does he? I didn't get that.
Really? No.
I must have missed that.
So we can definitely have a subset for Dr. Roxo in a minute, but we are still getting through our main character list.